Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Urban Legends video. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll do another entry here. This one based on one of the newer suggestions. This one is interesting because I've never heard of this urban legend before, but it seems like it's almost straight out of a movie, something that you would see from the director of Seven or any of the other Hollywood type movies having to do with serial mass murders, those that have a prolific, in this case, career in it. So again, all this information, all of this is new to me, and what's interesting is that there's a huge range when it comes to either people believing it or not believing it. So in other words, there's the ardent supporters of this urban legend, and then there's the fierce opponents of it as well. Very much so, hard, with regards to those extremes, nothing in terms of a middle ground. So after I present this information, it'll be interesting to see if you all also fall under that category or set of categories, either on the far left or the far right, with regards to believing or not believing this particular urban legend. So it has to do with the theory or the urban legend called the Smiley Face Killer or the Smiley Face Killers, because part of the theory is that there's multiple, in this case, killers out there. So what is this urban legend? What is it tied to? Here's all the information associated with it. So apparently somewhere in the Northeast, in this case the United States specifically, in particular colder areas, has to be cold, that seems to be the main basis tied with this theory. Ever since, let's say, the early 90s or so, there has been a continued set of bodies found, and with these bodies there seems to be like a continued set of characteristics. So in other words, there's a common theme associated with them, and the theme is that there's these deaths involving college age males who seem to have been found in these northeastern states, but the biggest tie to them is that they've all been found within the waters of their area. So in other words, it looks like they've all drowned, but there's another link associated to them having to be with the fact that there's a smiley face that's usually found close by to their areas. So that seems to be everything associated with the urban legend. You have a large number of males, all within the same age category, all within the same, I guess, height, build, activity. In other words, they're all considered athletic. Then they're found in these colder parts of the U.S. They're found, in this case, drowned, and then also there's smiley faces sometimes found nearby. Now, with regards to who perpetuated or who started this theory, you'll actually have to go with two New York police detectives, both of them retired. They looked into this information and they began proposing this theory back in 2008. They go by the name of Frank Gannon and then Anthony Duarte. And they were the ones that started looking into this, claiming that in the 90s, in this case 1997, specifically around 11 states, all the way from New York to Minnesota, that's where they started to see these patterns. Here's more information about those items and how they're all linked together. So again, with the men, they're all college-aged males. They're all white in terms of their race. They're all athletic, considered good-looking, and they seem to have strong ties to being in school and being successful in school. So in other words, this set of killer or killers was very specifically targeting, in this case, a minute portion of a certain male, because they didn't go with, let's say, someone that wasn't in college or someone that wasn't athletic. No, in this case, if the urban legend is true, then these killer or killers went with a very specific set of males. Also, the common link to them is that all of them previously attended a local bar or a party and were known to get really drunk. We're talking about these college-aged males right before they disappeared. So it's always in the evening that the witnesses and eyewitnesses stated that yes, they've spotted these guys wherever they were, all under different dates under different circumstances, but they were all found to be, I guess, attending a local bar or a party of some sort right before they went missing. And then as far as those smiley faces that I was talking about, what's interesting to note is that they were found in several locations around these bodies, but it's not like they were telltale signs immediately left, like a calling sign right next to the body. No, in this case, these smiley faces seem to have been found painted nearby the bodies, not necessarily like you can immediately see them and point them out, but no, somewhere close by. So it gives you the idea that whoever was doing this, if it's true that it truly was someone in terms of a smiley face killer, then they would, I guess, placed it on the wall somewhere on the far end of the body, or who knows, maybe the next block away. Something where it's spottable, but it's not immediately viewable. So, and then the next thing also with regards to them being found drowned, there's the idea that in some cases they were found not just in this case like within the body itself, because I'm sorry, with the body just in the water anyway whatsoever. No, in this case the body was found facing upright, which according to the information I read is quite rare whenever you're dealing with a drowning, because all of these particular deceased males, they were all categorized as having been drowned. So not like purposely drowned, but in this case accidentally drowned. That's at least according to the investigations of the police, where there was no malice, there was no aggravated assault, anything like that. No, in this case, they were all victims of their own accidental drowning. But when that happens, when their drowning is considered accidental, apparently the body, when it's usually found, it's found facing downward. But in this case, a lot of these bodies were found facing upward. So that makes it seem that it's considered more purposeful, that it was something where they didn't die within the water, but they were brought to the water and then purposely placed in that position. And to further add to that theory, there's the notion that two instances, one involving a 20-year-old named Patrick McNeil, and then another one, a 21-year-old named Chris Jenkins. Both of them were found face up in the water, and then they had their hands folded across their chest, which again makes it seem like it's very purposeful, at least with those two instances. But as far as the critics, those that are adamant that this is nothing more than some kind of crazy theory associated with these detectives, there's the idea that there's a lot in this case of institutions that are thinking the same thing, credible institutions that have looked into it but have not seen any, I guess, further evidence associated with this theory. For example, the FBI themselves, they issued a press release. This is their statement with regards to the theory of the smiley face killers or killer. They said, "We have not developed any evidence to support links between the tragic deaths or any evidence substantiating the theory that these deaths are the work of a serial killer or killers. The vast majority of instances appear to be alcohol-related drownings." By the way, the reason why these two detectives now surmise, at least then, that there were more than one killers is because on some of these deaths, they occurred, if I'm not mistaken, within the same night. So obviously two people can't be at, one person can't be two places at the same time, so it just leads to the next theory that it's more than one person coordinating together to, I guess, strike on the same day. There's another division called the Center of Homicide Research, and they in turn outlined 18 reasons, no less. They created their own document called Drowning the Smiley Face Murder Theory, and within it they gave 18 reasons that they feel everything is false. One of them is the idea that none of the smiley faces found within several of the locations are exactly the same. In other words, it looks like they're just drawn by completely different people under different circumstances. You and I have all seen graffiti within any parts of any town, and you'll notice that none of the graffiti looks the same. Same thing here. So they're thinking that if this was truly, in this case, one person or an organization behind these killings, that they would most likely leave the same insignia, the same symbol, to truly make everyone aware that it's them. But in this case, no, the smiley faces do not match one another at all. And then finally, there's more just criticism associated with it, sometimes from the family members themselves of the deceased parties. Some of them state, for example, that they believe that these detectives are looking to, I guess, create something out of nothing, in the sense that it's a way for them to get popularity, a way for them to get publicity, a way to get notoriety, attention, something along the lines where maybe they could sell it, I don't know, something that would create good publicity for them, maybe for financial success later on. So there's that theory as well. And every now and then, when there's another body yet found, in this case drowned somewhere in the Northeast, there was a case in 2012, for example. There's the idea, and then another one in 2015. There's the idea that yet again it could be this secret cult of killers. In other words, striking around within the United States. It just pops up every single time this happens somewhere in the Northeast in those areas. Then that's where people start talking again about the Smiley Face Killer theory. But that's it. That's most, if not all, the information associated with this theory. Of course, nothing in terms of any real evidence has been found yet substantiating it. No, in this case, surveillance evidence. No, in this case, physical evidence. And again, the main basis from the FBI and from the police departments that investigated these deaths, they all seem to state that these are truly drowning victims, but still there's that perpetuating theory that no, it's either one person or a group of people that are very discreetly, very manipulatively making sure that it looks that way, but it's truly them creating these killings. So what do you guys think? Has anyone heard any more info? Someone live up there in the Northeast that has heard gossip? Anything else associated with that? Please post those comments below. That'd be really good to hear. Very, very interesting stuff, because again, I've never heard of this particular theory. There's always, seems like every couple of years or so, there's always a new serial killer that's found. But there's always a huge amount, in this case, evidence supporting them, if not them outright, in this case, stating that it's them doing those killings. In this case, if this is truly a true, in this case, theory, then we have nothing. Like there's absolutely nothing in terms of any evidence pointing to it, just mainly conjecture from 2 New York police detectives and then others that seem to support that theory too. But please post those comments below. That'd be very, very interesting to hear. So alright, everybody, thanks again as always. Take care.